So if you're trying to update your UI to get rid of some of these pixel edges in your UI elements, and you have a layered PSD where you have these separate layers for these different buttons, and you want to maintain that, the workflow is a little bit different, although the idea is the same. We need to duplicate pixels and fill in these gaps. So part of this is going to seem really similar to just doing this with a base target. I begin with selecting the layer that where I have my whoops where I have my button. Some I fixed some of these already from the previous video, so let me go on to some of the other ones. And I'm going to select, move to Alt Nudge, and you can decide if you want to Alt Nudge and whoops fill in the next piece with that same snippet. In most cases, that's going to be fine. But if you want to be really painstaking about this, just make sure you pick right next to the gap, like so. And that's going to correct the gap here in the diffuse or RGB channel of your texture. But what about the alpha? Well, there are some fun things we can do. Um, if let's say that you have your buttons in a whole bunch of layers, which I'm going to simulate here with a quick little bit of setup that you would not do if you're following along. But let's assume I've got lots and lots of different layers, and whoopsie, and you've been making these edits and fixing these separate buttons. One fun thing that we could do is group all of your buttons, and don't group this in with your background. Keep your background layer separate. You can even turn it off if it's easier for you to understand this. And then group this with Control G in Photoshop. So now all of my buttons are in this one group. And then I'm going to add an effects color overlay. Make sure this is set to blend mode normal. Set it to white, 100% opacity, and hit OK. Then I'm going to make a new layer, Control Shift N. I'm just going to call this black and move it to the bottom, and Shift F5 and fill this with black, which is a pick here that you can do. And so now that is filled with black. And what we are setting up here is a way of generating our alpha selection from our layers, because normally you can't directly use multiple layers to create your alpha. It only accepts a single copy and paste into that alpha. So this is a little trick to get around that. We can turn this color overlay off and on. So I'll turn that on, and I'll turn off this gray layer. And so this is going to give me my alpha channel. All you have to do is select all with Control A, go to select all, and then you're going to do a copy merged. That copies all the contents of the document as it is currently visible. Then go to your channel, click on alpha, and Control V paste. So we've now pasted the contents of our working layer set into the alpha channel and updated it. Let's kind of see how this might work as I progress farther. I'll turn off the color overlay, and maybe I want to fix this button. And you don't need to do that edit on the alpha channel until you're done. You should only need to do it like once, maybe twice if you find a goof in what you've done, like a spot that you missed. But I'll just show you how this would look as I change things. So there, I fixed that button in the RGB. And to update my alpha, once again, I turn the color overlay layer, and it fills every positive pixel with white, and it maintains the levels of transparency. Control A, Control Shift, sorry, that's the keyboard shortcut, which is copy merge, but Control Shift C, copy, they go to channel, and select alpha and paste, and you can see how that updated that. The benefit of this process is that you kind of only need to fix your gaps once. You can just fix them here in your color, your layers. And then by turning your color layer on, getting black showing, and pasting that merged data into the alpha, you'll get that fixed kind of for free. Now, when you're actually saving your Targa, you'll need to, of course, turn off that. You don't want that showing. You'll want to turn on any kind of background tinting that you might have. And then you're going to do a file save as and you set your Targa and go ahead and overwrite the one that's there. I'm just going to call this a whip because I'm not done. Make sure it's set to a 32-bit per pixel Targa so you get the alpha channel. 24 does not have alpha, 32-bit does. You might find in this process, and I certainly did when I was doing these, that there are some corrections that you need to make that aren't captured in using this color overlay. I'll speak more clearly. You might not want to have some of this be gray, and you might want it to all be white. And so what I found I needed to do was to make a corrective layer that would just be used for correcting small issues with the alpha. So if I know I want this, I can either just paint corrections in. Let's go to, okay, that's fine. So if there are some pixels that maybe that are not exactly right, so I'm just making that fix right there. And let's say that that wasn't supposed to be that way. You can use whatever painting marquee tools that you want to do these corrections. You might not encounter these, just to be clear, but you might find a couple of edits that you feel that you need to make to get the alpha to do what you want it to do. And if this is included in your grouping here, it will get filled in with white automatically. Like I'm using black here and it will become white. So just whatever you paint here is going to become white. Um, so again, just make sure that you turn off your color overlay when you're getting ready to save out your actual Targa. And if you do have a tint, you need to turn those layers back on to tint any kind of the background layer. I hope that's helpful. Messing with Targa and alpha channels is not easy to do. It can be difficult to wrap your head around the workflow. Um, so hopefully this gives you just enough info to make the changes that you're looking to make to your UI. And that's it. Thanks.